Okay, today we are with my friend. It's Robin, and Robin, how you doing?
Yes. Hey. Hi, Jay.
Okay, so you sent us an email and you told us this great story, and I was like, we got to talk to you. And first off, I just want to say what was really interesting was that you're an official professional interior designer.
That is correct.
And the cool thing is, I checked out your website, which I hope it's okay I linked to, and you do work both in it's New York and in it's DC, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
So it's for real. I mean, it's beautiful, you know.
Thank you. We try. We try.
And before we get and so what we're gonna do today is kind of tell the process of you and your partner. You guys found a house and you're fixing it up and you're gonna put it on Airbnb and make a business. But before we do that, I wanted to ask you, as an interior designer, what kind of projects are you normally working on?
So when we first started out, we mainly focused on residential projects, which is where we built the foundation. And then within the last couple of years, we started transitioning into both residential and commercial projects.
Wow. And is it mainly like word of mouth? Like, how are people finding you?
Word of mouth, pretty much.
And what kind of people hire an interior designer? I mean, I'm assuming it's people with a lot of money. Is that right?
No, actually, not necessarily. I mean, the way that New York is now is that New York is and also DC is a town that's really savvy when it comes to design. And one of the things that I really focused on when I first started my business is being able to offer a service that was approachable to those people that is on the high end, but also on the mid range, trying to focus on the fact that you don't have to spend $1 million to get interior design service. You just have to make smart decisions to make it look like it's well tailored.
Right. Okay, so I mean, people come to you and say, "I just bought a new apartment," and they're just like, "How should I do this?" And then you give them kind of a template and some ideas.
Yeah, we kind of like based on their budget and their needs. It's like it's people assume that when you hire an interior designer that you're hiring this high-end service, when in actuality, depending on your budget, which we like to cater to, we can be there for consulting services. There's people that are really savvy, that have the confidence, that know what they like. They just need someone to guide them and help them make the decision so they can execute as well. So we have a variety of clients that like us to bounce ideas off of us, or clients that want us to take care of everything from soup to nuts.
Right. So I'm assuming there are also those people that are just like, "Here's a blank check, go for it. Like, make it look gorgeous." Maybe not blank check, but
yes.
yeah.
Those happen to be a little bit more fun, but
yeah. Okay, I just love that because I would think that someone that does the kind of work that you do would be perfect to start their own Airbnb. So I just want to have people have that in their mind as we talk about its process here of finding a house. Okay. Oh, and one last thing. We talk a lot on our podcast about the shows on like Home and Garden TV where they like flip houses and take old houses and fix them up and design them. And what do you think about those? I've always wondered what an interior designer would think about those kind of shows. Are they cheesy? Are they interesting?
So here's the funny part. So I didn't formally go to school for an interior design until as of the past couple of years, but I've been doing it for 6 years. And a lot of the fundamentals that when I first started the business was many of the things that I learned from interior design shows, not realizing that a lot of that stuck in my head.
Wow.
So are they cheesy? Not to me.
Okay.
They gave me the foundation of starting my interior design business.
Well, that's great. Yeah, I mean, basically what we do these days, I mean, I know I didn't go to school for, so sometimes I think that's the best way to do it is just learn on your own and have that passion, you know?
Completely agree.
Yep. Okay, so let's hear the story of the house you guys were buying. And I guess my first question is, were you looking for a house to actually as a business or just as a vacation rental?
No, we knew that we wanted I knew that I wanted a vacation rental. Billy, on the other hand, was kind of iffy. So the house is, there was some nudging, but the house is twofold as of now. It's a place for us to escape the city, but it's also a business opportunity, and it leans more towards the business opportunity.
Got it. Okay, so and you have kind of a cool story about how you guys bought that house.
Yes. So a year ago, I took Billy to Woodstock for a surprise weekend. And by the end of the weekend, we both fell in love with upstate New York. And within the first 2 weeks of coming back from that weekend, we went back up there and started looking at houses for fun. And within a month and a half, we put we put in a bid on a house unexpectedly.
Wow. Now, was it one of those things, because we always do this, like when we were in Amsterdam, you walk by those storefronts and they'll have all the homes, it's for sale in the a window, and you can look and see. Is it that kind of thing, or did you actually...
That's exactly how it started.
Yep.
We were just walking down the main street of Woodstock, and then all those window ads, and it just started churning.
Yep. And so what were your, so let's be specific here. So what were your requirements? Like a certain price range, certain size, an area?
If I'm being honest, we didn't have any requirements. We didn't know what we were getting ourselves into, and we weren't really thinking about it when we went to go look at homes the first day. We went there 3 times in a month and a half. We saw about 20 homes. Mm-hmm. By the second and third time, it kind of developed into what we didn't like. And then when we finally saw the house that we did like, it was very natural. We're like, this is the one.
Yeah. That's been our experience too, is we go out and we look at, a bunch of them, and we just know the ones we don't like. So that way, when we find one we do like, we already know. We're like, this feels special,
Oh my God! It was magic. It was just like, whoa! It just hit us.
Now, so when we bought houses, so we started buying a house in 2009. It's basically all internet. We basically did everything ourselves, and then we got an agent right at the end, basically, just so she could help us sign the papers and stuff like that. Is that what you guys did, or?
Initially, yes. The first day we went there, I did a lot of homework initially, and the second and third time, our broker was super proactive, so we were looking at it at the same time, and she was also finding homes that weren't necessarily listed yet.
Ah, yeah. Now, is this the first house that you guys have ever bought?
So we own the house in the apartment in the city, and so this is our second home.
Gotcha. Oh my God, you guys own an apartment in Manhattan? That is awesome.
We own a box, let's be honest.
Tell us about this house. Paint us a picture. We'll put actual pictures of it on our blog so people can see, because it's beautiful. But tell us what it looked like when you guys bought it.
Okay, so when we bought this house, it's on 1.3 acres. Lush lawn that rolls for days. It's surrounded by evergreens that are probably 30, 40 feet tall. It's funny because when you first walk to the house, it's kind of deceiving just from the front view. It looks like an average house. And then you walk in and you realize that it's multi-level. And then each time you go into another room, as you go from one level to another, you're just in your head, you're just thinking, oh my God, there's more space. Whoa, there's more space. Whoa, there's more space. This is not the city.
Yeah.
I think the thing that we kind of was the trigger that made us fall in love with this house was that right in front of it is this giant pond.
Wow. On your property?
On our property.
Wow.
It is very picturesque.
Wow. So was the pond the big thing that attracted you, or just kind of the whole package?
I won't lie. The pond photo on the Zillow ad made me really want to look at this house.
Yeah. And why did you think it would be good for an Airbnb business?
When I saw the house, I wasn't really thinking Airbnb yet. I mean, I knew that we were going to Airbnb it, but it was more, we were the priority of picking the house, and then
Ah,
Airbnb was second, but now it's reversed.
right. I wonder if more people are doing that, buying a second home as a vacation place, but also keeping in mind that they can totally help pay for it by then renting it out when they aren't there.
Well, it's funny because there's this huge renaissance happening where a lot of Brooklynites and Manhattan people, the Hamptons is oversaturated and overpriced, and now people are starting to look towards upstate to look for homes.
Right. So it's the Hudson Valley and Woodstock,
Catskills,
Catskills. Yeah.
yeah, Beacon, all of that. So because it's really accessible through train.
So how far is it from the city?
From our place from the city, it's if we take Amtrak, it's an hour and 40 minutes. If we drive, it's an hour and 50.
So then people can take a train and then would take a taxi or something?
If people were coming from the city to stay at our house, they would take the train to Rhinebeck and then take a 10-15 minute cab ride to the house.
Wow, that's great.
Super close.
Yeah.
It's right across. It's a really beautiful drive. You just go across the Hudson,
Yep.
and then you're there.
Yep. And so can you talk about why that area is attractive? I mean, is there like a village or town or scene? Yeah.
There's a historical town, Saugerties, which is really cute. A lot of people, they have really great restaurants, and it's starting to really develop where there's, again, Brooklynites going over there, taking some of the property and turning it into businesses. And also, we're 20 minutes away from Woodstock, and then Rhinebeck, which is a really well-known, already established small town. That's like 15 minutes away. And then if you wanted to be in a city, we're surrounded by the country, but if you wanted to go in a more city-developed town, Kingston is right around the corner. Mm. So you have your Target, Best Buy, a mall.
Right.
You have the best of all worlds.
Yeah, because we do hear people, ask us about, how do you, if you're willing to buy a place for an Airbnb, it's business, how do you know where to buy, I mean, and I guess, so I know you guys bought this primarily, or at first just as your vacation place, but then did you do some research and see if other people were renting in the area and prices, that kind of thing?
Yes. Okay. So before we actually even bought the house, I was very, very familiar with the landscape already with vacation rentals and Airbnbs. I studied it to the T.
Awesome.
To make sure that this was going to be a lucrative home for us.
Right, because and people just, it's like, come on, the information's all out there. You simply just start doing a search on Airbnb or other sites, and all their schedules are up, how much they charge, and you can see how booked they are. I mean, it's really amazing,
It's amazing. You can totally learn from other Airbnb beers.
Yeah. So your research showed that it was a popular area?
Yeah, I mean, Woodstock is right next to us, and Woodstock is hugely popular with vacation rentals, particularly for the summertime. Mm-hmm. But also around us is a lot of ski resorts. So during the wintertime, people come up here and rent to go to Hunter's Mountain or Sawskills.
I mean, that's huge. We talk about, it's kind of like there's two schools here. They're the people that have like an urban apartment, and that's a different beast than those of us that have like a place in the country, because the urban people normally can book all the time because people are always showing up. The people in the country, you have to do what you're doing, do a lot of research, and sometimes it might only be popular for one part of the year. So it's amazing that you have a place that people want to come to in the summer and come to in the wintertime.
Yeah, we were very strategic about it.
You said that you took about 5 months off, or not 5 months off, but it took you about 5 months to kind of just think about the place and kind of absorb it, and then you guys started to fix it up. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, we lived in it for a while. We were kind of lazy and just enjoying it. We're like, yes, settle into our house. We got a house. But then we knew that summer was right around the corner, so we had to get our asses in gear and just like going hard.
Yeah. I mean, we do that too. I mean, even it's for us, even once we buy it and we sign the papers and we have the keys and we're standing in it, it sometimes takes a while for it to kind of feel real, you know?
Yeah, no, I had all these grand ideas, Jay, when I first, before we even got the keys to the house. I want to do this, I want to do that, blow out the ceilings. But when we got in there, it just completely changed our perspective because we started learning the space more, and it just felt we eased into the potential of the house.
Right. I mean, we share our documentation of like fixing up our a second one that we bought, and it's taking a while. And there's different reasons for that, but I always see it as kind of a positive because it gives you time to think about things and see things differently and learn about things and find things to buy and stuff like that.
Absolutely. And you guys do the pace that you guys want to do. This is your second one, so take the time that you need.
Yeah.
And your guys' process is a lot tougher than ours. We're doing decorative stuff. You're building driveways and tearing down trees.
Yep. Yeah. So let's talk about that. Did you guys think about doing any kind of serious construction, or basically all the rooms were already?
Yeah. Initially, I wanted to blow out. I wanted to blow out the roof and do sky high ceilings.
Wow.
I wanted to do skylights. Renovate, tear down the walls of the kitchen, and then literally after the first weekend of us staying there, we just we had an epiphany that the house felt right, and it's exactly how it should be.
Hmm.
So, and then it just turned into a decorative project. There are some updates that were needed, like we redid the kitchen, but we did keep the cabinets. All of the bedrooms have been, the entire house has been designed to mine and Billy's likes, keeping potential renters from the city, the style of the city, and keeping that in mind as the house developed, design-wise.
I mean, when people look at the pictures that we post, the before and after, even though you guys didn't do any major renovation, it is a totally different house. I mean, you guys completely redesigned how it looks, and it looks like a different house,
Yeah, it definitely does. A lot of it's our personality and the things that we like as a country house. I mean, our apartment in the city is completely different, but each room for the country house, we wanted it to have its own personality.
And you know what? I think that's important. Like we're not designers, but we have our certain taste, and people seem to it's like that. I think it's important to design it the way you think is nice, and I think other people will like it too, for the most part.
Absolutely. Like I said, I feel like our market is going to be a lot of New Yorkers, so they're very design savvy.
Right.
They will appreciate it.
Yeah. I mean, we've stayed in a number of Airbnbs, and we've talked about this, just that had no style. It's basically like a dorm room, and I feel like that's a lot of Airbnb sometimes. It's just people who either they manage a bunch of apartments or something, and they're just doing simple, no nonsense, and it doesn't feel like anything. And those are always not good experiences,
Yeah, I've had a couple of those, and the whole thing about our house is that we want it to be an experience for anyone that goes there.
Yeah.
We want them to be taken out of whatever mind space that they're at and know that they're in a home to be comfortable.
And I think that's important too. I know for us, we want to stay in what feels like a home, but also we want to stay in a place that doesn't feel like I'm living in someone's stuff. It's kind of like it's kind of a difficult balance sometimes,
Yes, we were really thoughtful about that. Like when Billy and I walk in, we know that this is our home. It feels like our home. But if you and Ryan went to the house, we designed it so when you guys walk in, you will feel like it's your home too.
That's it. That's the feeling I want right there. Yeah. So how do you balance that? If this is your vacation home first and foremost, I mean, what do you do with all of it, your stuff? I mean, are there like a locked closets? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, in the hallway, we turned one of the closets into our main closet with a lock on it. But in the basement, there's a room down there that we keep everything else that we wouldn't want any guests to have access to, which is basically our personal stuff.
Yep. So then, is it kind of a pain in the butt to like when you guys are there enjoying a vacation, everything comes out, and then when you guys leave, you gotta like get everything and put it away?
The house is not cluttered with our stuff.
Right.
So it makes it a lot easier to put away things when we need to.
See, I think that's one reason why people like our place is because it feels like a real house. You know, it's got everything that a house could ever want, but it doesn't have any of the stuff. And I think people don't often realize like that. How do I say this? You know, like when we're in our house, it's a house, but it's got just stuff everywhere. Because when you're living in a house, it just gets junky. I think it just happens to everybody. And so it's nice to be in a house without all that stuff. It's a very good feeling, you know?
Exactly. Like when we pick the accessories and decor, a lot of the design decisions and whatever we're leaving out is purposeful. And one thing we specifically tried not to do was personalize the house for us, but it feels personal still to anyone that's in there.
So let's get a bit more practical. So if you have this house and it was pretty dated, right? Like the interior. I mean, it was just kind of, you know. So what was it? Your process like? Did you treat it like it was a client thing where you did lists and pictures, or how do you do that?
So the house is 1,900 square feet. So it was
huge.
I mean, thinking about it collectively was a little overwhelming. So we started out, I phased it in with room by room. The house is 3 bedrooms, living room, dining room, kitchen, and a den with a fireplace, along with a finished basement, 2 decks, 2 patios, and a pool.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, that's huge. A pool and a pond. I mean, unbelievable. Okay, so did you just think of a room by room?
Yes, we were always in the living room the first few months, so we started out there, and then just kind of worked our way around. We did the living room, then the dining, and then once that was kind of done, we moved on to the guest bedroom, and then the master, and then the dining. So that way, I didn't feel overwhelmed.
Now, when you say you guys did are we talking about like new floors, paint, wallpaper, just everything, or?
So we didn't do any major renovations. Majority of it was cosmetic. Part of some of what falls in cosmetic is painting. We did wallpaper. We did board and baton in the master. So we had a woodworker working on that. But nothing hardcore. No walls were coming down.
Right. But that's still a lot, though, to like redo wallpaper and stuff like that. I mean, it's not easy.
When I pulled out the wallpaper in the master bedroom, I was up until 4 in the morning. Doing it by hand.
Now, how much work were you guys doing on your own versus hiring people?
It was a combination. I painted the living room myself, decided that I hated the color, and decided that I no longer want to paint the house. So we hired someone to do that. The wallpaper I did on my own. The board and baton we had our woodworker do it along with the electrical work. We had recessed lighting installed.
Really, that's nice. Yeah. That can totally change any space, you know.
Oh, absolutely. We love it.
Yeah,
love it.
Instead of like we've stayed in a lot of places where it's just like a box and they just stick a light in the corner, and it's just like, even if you had good furniture, if there's not good it's lighting in a room, I mean, it kind of just kills the whole place.
Oh my God, I completely agree. Lighting is important, people.
Yeah, seriously.
Important.
Now, okay, so beyond that though, you have it's a big place. That's a lot of furniture. How did you guys deal with that? Like, are you buying new? Are you buying on, auctions? Are you getting it from friends?
It's a combination. Majority of it is new. two of the major sofas. One is from a client, which is my favorite couch in the house.
Ah.
And then the other one is an older couch, is a couch that was in our living room in the city. But for the most part, everything was pretty new.
And are you buying it in town and bringing it to the place, like in it's Manhattan, or are you shopping locally? Or
Um, a lot of it's from the city and also online.
that's the other thing, just real quick. And I don't know if you want to talk about this or can comment on it. So if you're doing design work for its clients, are there its clients that have like a lot of nice stuff and they just say just get rid of it all and buy me new stuff, and then you can keep it?
I have clients like that. So, truthfully, yes, there are clients like that. Do we keep everything? No. Living in the city, you're not really taking a lot of things home.
Sure.
But the timing was perfect for this couch to come in, and we're like, we just got the house. Let's use it.
That's awesome. And then going back, it's one step when you're talking about finding people to work. So the guy who did the wood and the electric, how did you find those guys to help you?
So, my best friend in the city grew up in Kingston, which is adjacent to Saugerty. So she's literally like 7 minutes down the street from our house that we purchased. Yeah, that all just happened serendipitously. Her operations manager at her business upstate, his son works for the hospital, and he's super handy, and we ended up hiring him to do all our stuff. He's amazing.
See, that's so smart. I find like our best experiences is when we hire friends of friends. You know, there's always someone in between us and the person it's we hire, because with contractors and workers and stuff, it seems like that's so important.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, we got lucky having a best friend that kind of like knew half of the town already.
Right. Yeah.
So it's just, I mean, our broker is one of her employees. I didn't know she was a broker.
That's awesome. And about like the style, so if you're shopping, you know, online or at stores, I've always it's wondered this: do designers shop on eBay a lot, or is that just a certain style of designer who wants like a vintage older stuff?
Yeah, that they're designers. A lot of designers do shop on eBay and also all the vintage stores that are particularly focused towards vintage furniture. I use a lot of Wayfair, Overstock, West Elm, and you know I'm a designer, so I get significant discounts from all these places, which really helped.
Now, how does that work? Did you just tell them, or do it give you a secret card?
As a designer, we get trade discounts. And if you have a lengthy, healthy relationship with one of your vendors, they'll throw in additional discounts.
Nice. And also, kind of getting back to what I was asking earlier about, like those shows on TV, it's where they redo houses. It seems like if people look back at like 2016 or whatever, it's this time period. What do you think the overwhelming style is that will, you know, say who we are? Is it like mid-century modern part 2? Like I can't tell really. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. At this period now, it's very industrial.
Right.
I mean, mid-century falls into that, but, you know, it's a lot of reclaimed wood, a lot of metals. You see that everywhere, from blogs to Instagram to magazines.
I mean, we're guilty of that. Like, I mean, our place is all about exposed wood, exposed brick, you know, steel, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
You just have to, as long as you do it well and it appeals.
Yeah, I mean, even when I look through like it's magazine like West Elm and other places, I feel like they're doing that too. You know?
Absolutely, absolutely. They're catering to the market. It's a business.
Right. Now, can you see any other styles creeping in, or is that kind of the overwhelming feeling?
Yeah, there's the classics that still stay around, like Scandinavian design, mid-century. Clean lines will never go away.
Yeah, because I always wonder if, you know, we did our house and that kind of like exposed wood, you know, industrial. If like in 10 years we're gonna look back and think, oh man, that is so dated and old looking, you know.
I've been seeing it for the past 6 years. I don't think it's going anywhere.
Okay. Thank God.
That is a good design decision,
Yeah,
Jay.
okay. Keep it simple, right? Yeah, like
Yes.
classic. Okay, so we were kind of talking about this a bit online together before we did this podcast, but is it a challenge to design like a vacation home for it yourself while keeping in mind thinking of it needing to be practical for just strangers coming in?
For me, it wasn't. And reason being is like in my line of work, I'm constantly thinking and designing for someone else. So there's a whole psychology behind it, understanding the person, their needs, and their wants. With the vacation home, I just had to think of it in the whole hospitality realm.
Hmm.
Keeping in mind is like these are people that are going to cycle in and out of your house. How much do you want to spend? What would you be okay with if it got ruined? What's easily replaceable and what still appeals?
I mean, I know we had to go through that thought too. It was like, what happens if someone like spills a glass of wine on this couch? Are we going to care? Do we pick a different kind of couch? I mean, that kind of.
Oh yeah, like one of our couches is leather, which we were mindful of. The other two couches, we sprayed it. We're prepared if something damaging really happens. We don't want it to, but we're psychologically prepared for that to happen.
Yeah. I mean, I think too, just looking at the photos of it's your place, I'm assuming it's going to be more on the like the high end or at least attract the high end people. And I find like they aren't going to be the ones coming and with a keg and partying and that kind of thing.
You're right. We are definitely catering to a higher end market, and the whole mind process behind that is that we think they're going to take care of our house too if they're willing to spend this money.
Yeah. And I mean, and just because that's the way that they are. I mean, I know the people that come and stay at our place, they're just clean people.
Yeah, I just there's a certain level once you start pricing people out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and it's not bad to say that. It's just a choice. Some people they make a living where they're renting, at a lower price, and they don't have to invest in much in that place. But if you invest a lot more in your place, then you can charge a higher price. So it's just a choice.
Yeah, exactly. We were conscious of what was out and available on the market and what range we can be at.
Well, so why don't we talk about that a bit? So, I mean, have you guys picked a price yet, or have you started your Airbnb yet, or it's coming on the market, right?
It's launching in mid-August.
All right.
We're right around the corner. We're actually going up there this weekend to wrap it all up and take photographs on Monday and Tuesday.
That is going to be so exciting. The moment that you put it on, and then the first person that books it.
I'm nervous, Jay.
I mean, we talked about it. Ryan actually cried when we had our first person book. I mean, real tears because it was just a big payoff after all that work.
It's emotional.
Yeah.
It's so emotional.
And so, are you guys pricing pretty competitively for your area or your price range?
So interestingly enough, there are only a handful of houses that I would say is equivalent to the design level that we put in. So we're using that as our benchmark.
Mm-hmm.
We're not exactly ready to let go yet, so we're not pricing it cheap to just get at a lower rate just to get it out on the market. But if someone is willing to pay what we're asking for, you can have it for the weekend.
See, that's interesting. Some people that start off, they purposely price under what they normally would because they're trying to get the good its reviews. They're trying to get people, in there, and then they start jacking its price up. So that's interesting. The strategy, it sounds like, if you're trying, price it, strong, and make people come up to it. So then that way you can kind of control how many people are coming.
Exactly.
Huh.
Exactly.
Now, how often are you guys going up there personally just for hanging out?
It's not hanging out, Jay. We're like every time we're here. I'm doing this Monday through Friday for other people, and
Wow.
then Saturday and Sunday I'm doing it for myself, and including the physical labor.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I didn't mean I didn't mean hanging out. Yeah, no, trust
I
me.
know.
I totally remember that feeling. I mean, it took us 3 years to do our first one, and yeah, it felt like it was going to be a never-ending process. Yeah.
Right? Oh my! It's like when, like, literally 3 weeks ago, I like could see the light. It was amazing. I was like, oh my god, we're almost done.
I mean, what's going to be interesting is see how addicted you guys are, because I know after we got our first one done, it was within a year that we bought our second one, because we were like, that was a lot of work, but let's get another one.
You guys are amazing,
Uh,
and I'm hoping to follow suit. We're hoping to follow suit of that.
I mean, is that even something that's possible? I mean, are you guys thinking that it might be more than one?
Absolutely. I'm thinking this is the first of what we hope turns into a Airbnb business model
Wow.
for us.
So your partner, his name is Billy, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So how does he? I mean, so is he like all in, and he's like an equal partner, or you're more the a lead, and he just helps you as needed?
Oh, he's in. He definitely has an opinion.
Right.
We have different energy levels, so which is we're okay with, but I am doing a lot of the physical work.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like even between me and my partner, I mean, we both have our strengths and weaknesses. Some things I'll do much better than her, and so have you guys kind of found that a balance?
Yes, it was we learned it the first time when I was designing his office, and I'm taking those lessons and relearning some new stuff again. So he definitely has strengths that are very different than mine.
Cool. I mean, just as long as both of it you're excited about it, then that's the main thing.
Oh, yeah, we're both super excited about it.
Now, we were also talking, and I think it's always interesting to kind of dive into this about the difference between, fixing a place up and renting it versus hospitality. I mean, do you think you have a good sense of that hospitality stuff you're going to have to do when people rent?
Thanks to you guys, absolutely.
Ah, okay.
Along with a lot of, I've been in, before this, I was in the service industry, so I have a fundamental of what to expect. But when I go to hotels or when I'm renting an Airbnb, I have a certain level of expectations, and I'm going to treat it the same way how I would want to be treated.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it seems so much like common sense. Yeah, treat people the way that you want to be. The things I expect, but I think a lot of people just don't think like that. It's so interesting. So it sounds like then you're kind of excited by the process of.
Oh,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah, I am definitely excited about the
Yeah.
process.
Because I've stayed in places where it feels like the people don't want to have anything to do. It's with me, and they just do not care. It's just like just rent our place, give us our cash, and just like be done.
My last experience was like that. I had a horror Airbnb experience in LA. I couldn't believe it.
Now, can you quickly explain that?
Yes. So I rented the Airbnb, and then after renting it, and right before I got to LA, I started reading more in depth of the reviews, which is partially my fault because I wasn't paying attention. I just liked the photos.
Yeah.
And he had like 4.5 stars. But then you got to the nitty gritty about like there was dirt in certain spaces. It felt like the sheets didn't feel clean. So I messaged the guy while I was on the plane. I was like, hey, I'm about to land. I need to make sure that I have clean sheets and the house is going to be spotless because I read some of that on your review.
Uh-huh.
He assured me everything was going to be all good. Jay, I got to the house. There was other people's body hair and women's hair gathered together in different areas of the space. It looked like someone ate a burger on the countertop. I was mortified. Oh my God. I was mortified.
I guess some people just have like a different level. He might have thought it was super clean. He's probably, this is great.
He said his cleaning lady, the cleaning lady just left. I was sending pictures to him.
Yeah.
I was contacting Airbnb. I tell you,
Yeah.
it was bad.
Well, I guess you got to chalk it up to its research, you know? I mean, all of our bad experiences has definitely informed how we want to treat people, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah. That kind of like hit the nail on the head. I was
Yeah.
like, okay.
Because, like, today I checked in a family that is staying at our place, and it really is a good feeling to have, like, you know, a family come and stay and them feel really good about it, you know? And we feel like we put a lot of work in, they're going to be happy, and it makes me feel good, you know?
I'm excited for the first time a family stays at the house because adults could all sleep in the room, but there's one particular room that's catered to adults and kids.
Yep.
And I'm just looking forward to the way that they react when they see the space.
Okay, so let's talk about some details. So why don't we say we're looking at your imaginary listing right now? How many people can stay there? Is there a limit?
Yes. So we have a king size, queen, and a bunk bed that is a twin and a full.
Gotcha.
Right now we are capping at 7.
That's good. Yeah, and I think that's smart. I think that I see some people where they'll cram as many people as they can, and I think that's it's a mistake. I think it's good to have a limit so people are going to be comfortable, you know?
Oh, I learned that limit from you and Ryan.
Now, are you going to let people like burn wood, like have a fireplace? I mean,
yeah, so we have a fireplace, and we're eventually going to build a what do you call that thing? Fire pit.
Fire pit. Okay. Cool.
Yes. So yes, we are going to allow that.
Cool. Awesome. So, are you guys going to give them it's firewood, or did they buy it down the street?
Oh no, we want to be able to provide everything. We want people to go there and don't feel like they have to go out except for groceries or whatever else they need.
I'm gonna have to come and check this place out.
We want you guys to.
Yeah, I mean, because really, it's all about because it's not gonna cost you guys a whole lot to have like little small things around the house, but that stuff makes it feel like a home, you know.
It's the fine details.
Yeah,
it is the fine details that make everything.
Now, are people going to be able to go in its basement, or that's just kind of the storage area?
The basement isn't finished yet, but we're actually turning it into a game room. So there's going to be a pool table there, a poker table.
That's awesome.
Well, you know, when the friends go there during winter,
Yep.
They're not really going to want to go skiing. They can hang out downstairs and or everyone can hang out downstairs and do whatever.
Sure. And is its basement already done? I mean, it's a finished basement?
The basement is finished.
Man, that's sweet.
Yeah, it was kind of amazing the first time we walked in there. I'm like, oh my God.
Okay, so the other thing is, which I think will interest people, is so you live an hour and a half away from this place. How are you going to handle people coming and checking in?
So there's going to be a lot of communication with them. We're going to send them the rules prior to them checking in and actually having either phone conversations or Skype calls with them. I want us and how we feel about the house to resonate with them before they get in there, since we're not necessarily going to be there physically.
Right.
But we have a digital lock, and we have our network of people around there. So if anything is if a person needs to be there physically to take care of something, someone is available.
Okay, cool. So you guys have it's like a kind of a carekeeper that you can go to, or a friend, or
Exactly. We have like someone that watches our house on a regular basis, a gardener, our friend that works on the house. All these people are accessible.
See, that's so cool. I mean, we talk about all the time about making it's relationships. It's with everybody, you know, locally and everything else. So when there's a problem, like we just had an electrical problem happen, but we have a really good relationship. It's with like a local handyman. He was there. It's within half an hour to fix it. It was awesome.
Oh, appreciate that.
Yeah.
So important.
Oh, and then the other thing is, too, we were always worried about letting people just check in without it meeting them. But we've been learning slowly That, you know what? It's not complicated. People know how a house works. I mean, they live in houses, so really, I think that's smart. Just if everything makes sense, they aren't going to have a problem.
It simplifies things for us a lot and for you.
Now, how are you going to deal with its cleaning?
We have a cleaning person set up already.
Cool.
Yeah, there was a lot. We wanted to make sure that we thought of all the different things that needed to be taken care of. And when the house launched, all of that was all lined up.
Yeah, we've been talking about how we've been trying to find a person to clean our place, but we've been having a problem. How did you guys find a cleaning person?
So our cleaning person was also a referral from our friend / broker. I met with him. We fell in love with him. Very sweet guy. A lot of the people upstate are just lovely, lovely people.
Wow.
And then I was specific to let him know what we're planning on doing, and he was on board. There was this whole 2-3 month training process. And now we're just going to release him in the wild.
Cool. Now, is he going to get paid by the hour, or is it like per job?
We flat feed him.
Okay, cool. How booked are you going to try and get? Like, is it like someone checks that out 12 and they come in at 3, or are you going to put a day between?
I was going back and forth. I was thinking 11 a.m. checkout and 3 o'clock check-in.
Okay. So you're gonna try and see if your cleaner can clean it's within those 4 hours to flip it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, good.
Exactly.
That's what we do. Flip it, like put in as many people there as you can,
We're kind of hoping we don't get pigs that, we can clean the house in 4 hours.
Yeah. I mean, so, we've probably had about 80, people or it's guests stay at our place. And I think only one time has it even been a little bit dirty. It's most times people are good, people clean up after themselves.
We're exactly the same way when we rent houses.
Right. I know one of these days we're probably going to get some really dirty people, but we'll deal with that when it comes.
Exactly. Count the blessings.
Yeah. So when this place is rented, how are you going to balance when you guys go and stay there and when it's a business? Are you just going to look at the whole 2017 and it's book all the weekends off ahead of time?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of thinking about that. I don't know if I have an answer for that yet, Jay.
Right. Or maybe you just go there when no one's booked. I don't know,
I was thinking of that angle too. It's going to be, there's only 2 options. One, we reserve at least 1 weekend for us every month and then kind of go from there. Or we just take the place when it's not rented.
Yeah, because really once it starts getting it's rented, I mean, it's for us at least, it gets addictive. It's like, wow, money, the payouts.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, so.
I'm looking forward to that. I know. I have been thinking about that.
The last thing, have you guys come up with some a booklet, or how are you going to tell people what to do?
We're taking note from everyone else that we've been studying and seeing how they've been running their business. I think we're going to have a binder.
Yep.
We're going to be really informative on the Airbnb ad. Yep. But separately, I'm actually creating a website for the house.
Now, are you guys going to try and get it to where people book straight through the website as well as Airbnb?
No, I want them to go directly through Airbnb, either Airbnb or VRBO.
Yep, VRBO.
There's a lot of protection with those services, so.
It's funny. We thought the same thing. At first, everyone told us, the main goal is to get people to book through your own website, so that way they're in all of its fees. But I instinctually think I would rather have them go through a third party, so that way, yeah, there's some protection. They've kind of had to prove who they are, all that stuff.
I completely agree with you. There's just. I mean, we have insurance, obviously, commercial insurance, right. But the additional layer that comes with using Airbnb or VRBO, it's just, it's worth paying for it to me.
Now, we did that one interview. It's with our friend whose place got trashed. She had like this
I
those
know.
high school kids, but she had insurance. And people ask us like, what kind of insurance do I need? And we just went to our local agent, and he told us what we need, and we just paid for it. How are you guys dealing with that with insurance?
It's fun. I actually can't remember the name of the insurance person that we work with, but they are an affiliate of London Insurance, which I guess is international.
Yep. So did you just go through an online service, or?
I placed some calls, and one of the numbers I got from one of the responses on your blog, and then the person that I called ended up sending me to someone else, and that person I had a one-on-one conversation. I asked 101 questions to fully understand it. He ended up sending us the paperwork, and he says, whenever we're ready to go, we just have to sign and send out.
That's good. Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's pretty soon insurance companies are going to be hip to all this stuff, and it's not going to be so complicated, that Airbnb is going to be a normal thing.
Yeah, it was, honestly, it was a really easy process. It was just gathering the information to get to the right person, because this was very new to us, and it's also new to the world.
Yeah, but that's so important to have good insurance just in case anything happens. Oh yeah, and then I just wanted to get back to its booklet that you guys are thinking about. I think for us, we're not even sure exactly how to do it perfectly yet, because it's kind of a balance between having enough info and not having just like a binder stuffed with like pamphlets and little cards of where to go and advertisements and stuff like that.
In theory, in my head, I feel like I'm going to be like my own executive assistant and have like this organized binder about different, with tabs and different things to do. But I also think because of the digital age, in addition to that, I'm like in the front of the binder, I'm saying all of this information is also located on the website.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's smart, And plus people are good about that. Like, the good thing is we don't need to give people maps or anything. We just give them the address, and then they know how to Google it, and it's great,
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. So, well, we're really excited for this, and by the time people hear this, your place will be up, and if it's okay, we'll link to it, because we really want people to see a place that's nicely designed,
Oh, thank you.
Because I really think that's important, to take the time to do that, not just to think like just a box is good enough, Okay, my last question was, and this is just you as an interior designer, do your friends always want free advice from you about how to redo their places?
They pick my brain, not necessarily always want free advice.
I was wondering if it was like being a doctor at a party where everyone's coming up to the doctor asking for all this, these problems,
New friends always have a lot of questions.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us. And we really look forward to it. And we're going to actually come and check this place out.
Amazing.
All right. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.